The mystery of ancient megaliths stirs wonder in any curious mind. They are artifacts from our deepest past, thousands of years old, yet enduring the millennia with more grace and stamina than anything built since. Controversy over their age, who, how, and why they were built has raged, it seems, for as long as they have stood. Many investigators contend that answers provided by the academic consensus don't match the evidence. They say the evidence suggests they were built by an antediluvian race of people using technologies we have yet to decipher. They point to worldwide archetypical iconography that implies a common origin, and they insist pyramids and other structures have features too similar not to be the result of a coordinated effort. They say each one is geopositioned in relation to the others in an intentionally planned global pattern. Theories as to their purpose range from granaries to alien spaceports. Consensus academia says these impeccably designed structural complexes are the tombs and temples of ancient kings and observatories of the stars. They are structures devoted to ceremony and religion because ancient people were highly superstitious and afraid of nature. They say they were aligned to track the seasons so the rulers could predict eclipses and know when to plant crops. And they built with stone because stone is what they had, and the commonality of the pyramid is because it is the simplest structure to make by stacking stones. And of course, they say any global pattern in iconography or geopositioning is entirely a coincidence. Simple answers for simple Stone and Bronze Age people. As an engineer, what puzzles me is why ancient people built with stones weighing hundreds of tons when they could have broke them down to smaller, more manageable pieces the way we do. Why the painstaking polygonal masonry with seamless, mortarless joints? It's as if these structures were designed to withstand earthquakes and tsunamis. What compelled ancient people, who according to the consensus were learning how to farm, to divert their attention to becoming master architects and erect cyclopean structures just for ceremony? Big symmetric pyramids are exceedingly hard to build. So is carving, dressing, and moving giant stones. Such effort devoted to ceremonial structures by people just learning to create a sustainable society doesn't add up. Living as dirt farmers while building amazing but otherwise useless temples to the dead is not how societies prioritize resources. Agriculture without technology requires immense human resource. For example, colonial America utilized 95% of the population for agriculture to keep up with its needs, leaving only 5% to work on everything else, including ceremonial structures. We have many examples of early societies that focus colossal resources on agriculture, like the Pueblo culture in central Arizona, who built such extensive networks of reservoirs and aqueducts to irrigate the desert that we still follow their plan today. And the Romans, who built roads, cities, and aqueducts connecting a continent-wide empire. These societies allocated far more resources on utility solutions than on ceremonial claptrap. It reasons the ancients would focus resources on practical structures that paid dividends in higher productivity rather than pure ceremony, because that is what we do. We spend the vast majority of our resources to build plants, mines, factories, dams, roads, sewage, and clean water systems, and a small amount on cemeteries, churches, and monuments. The reason is obvious. It's necessary. And why would not the same be true in ancient times? Many independent thinking theorists have pointed to the industrial look of megaliths and proposed a greater functional purpose that tangibly benefited society, including power generation, water pumping, and wireless communication. These ideas have merit because they are use cases that would benefit a growing agriculturist society to the degree worthy of the expense. I've taken interest in the alternative theories. Building power plants is what I did for many years. Having looked at several of these theories, however, none provided a satisfying answer. The reason is they typically focused on one particular structure, like the Great Pyramid, and had no comparative answer for other megalithic structures around the world, or even similar ones nearby. They also failed to identify all the attendant facilities needed to use the power, water, or whatever. I keep an open mind, but I have electric eyes, and I can only see holistically. Important stuff was missing in every theory. There had to be common denominators that connected all of the similarities, diversities, and explained the confounding complexities. Electric universe theorists, megalithomania explorers, and curious others have been saying as much for a long time. They have uncovered hints at the truth about these structures, but to my eyes, no one has provided an explanation as to their purpose. Now, I believe someone has. His name is Jeffrey Drumm, and his book is The Land of Kim. TheLandofKim.com is his website. He first published in 2017 and has produced a huge amount of video content backing his claims, expanding his theories, and exploring the real technology of the ancients. Drumm presents a thesis that the ancient structures were chemical processing plants used to produce chemicals for solution mining and crop fertilizer. How mundane yet sensible. The ancients weren't communicating with aliens, spirits, stars, or the dead, but were actually making nitrates to fertilize their crops and acids to solution mine and process precious metals. Of course they were, just like we do, and every other society one cares to look at throughout history. He backs his thesis with on-site investigations to confirm predicted channels, passages, chambers, and other features for fluid flow, pressure control, and containment in the Egyptian pyramid temple complexes. Trace elements from the processes are even identified. I believe he is substantially, if not wholly, correct. In my former career, I built and operated cogeneration power plants integrated with a variety of chemical processes and visited too many refining, processing, and manufacturing plants to count. I know a process when I see one. Drumm identifies precisely the use of chambers, passages, tunnels, even the choice of rock used in a construction and how it integrates into an overall process flow. He identifies the chemistry, the process, and the system's integration, as well as the products and purpose. The products and purpose make perfect sense in a growing agricultural empire, and the use cases justify the expense, unlike any other theory ever presented. The integrity of his work is in identifying how the pieces and parts work together. They worked like chemical plants do today, mixing and reacting, settling and separating, transferring aqueous solutions here and there. The vessels they used were stone, not steel, but the processes were no different. He provides common sense, holistically viable, technically verifiable answers. This dramatically separates his from anyone else's theory. He also correctly identifies the power source that ran the processes: nature's electricity, lightning, and telluric currents. This is another reason I know he's right. He's the only theorist who doesn't lose his mind and go extraterrestrial when it comes to the energy source. He understands it comes from the earth. No aliens were needed. Drumm's examination is primarily of the Giza Plateau and its pyramid complex, and certain standing stone sites in the UK and Europe. But I contend his model will apply throughout time and geography across most, if not all, megalithic sites, because it provides the simplest, most verifiable answer that fits with the needs and capabilities of those cultures. It's a theme repeated at every site one can consider a cradle of civilization. Occam's razor will prove Drumm right. Drumm's work speaks for itself, and I urge anyone interested to begin with his YouTube channel, The Land of Kim. I simply want to help spread the word and unabashedly promote his work. I hope everyone listens to what he has to say. I know there are those in the electric universe who will see the value in his work immediately. I also hope some of you will use your knowledge to test his work. More eyes will help elucidate the truth. I doubt anyone can actually refute his theory as a whole, and expect more eyes will simply corroborate and expand the evidence he's right. This is knowledge the whole world needs. Drum's work is important to the electric universe especially. It is essential to understand our true past and the electrical state of the planet in past times, particularly at the dawn of civilization when these impressive works were erected. The knowledge Drum is sharing aids our understanding of the environment that demanded such incredible specifications. The insight of knowing purpose when contemplating the mystical past also sharpens our focus understanding ourselves and our planet today. The world was different thousands of years ago. It was different when petroglyphs were being laboriously pecked into rocks to depict plasma aurora in the sky. It was different when people occupied vast underground chambers excavated in natural rock or sheltered precariously under canyon walls. And it was different when the megaliths were built, because they were built to standards that surpass any kind of construction needs we can imagine in today's environment. Stone as much as 1,000 tons are found stacked upon each other and fitted with such precision it defies logic. Compound curves are commonly mated to perfection. It is a type of complexity we use computer aids, robotics, and heavy equipment to achieve today. But the ancients apparently did it with their eyeballs, plumb bobs, and soft bronze tools. They must have had a very important reason to build that way. It's not that they couldn't build the megaliths by such primitive means with lots and lots of time and labor. The question is why? Why build to such extreme specifications as if each structure must withstand a tsunami? Perhaps they did need to withstand tsunamis, fierce winds, earthquakes, and lightning, not to mention the pressures, heat, and corrosive environment of a chemical plant. The electrical nature of the planet was in a much higher state of potential in ancient times than it is now. We know this because the archetypes from those cultures, the thunder gods, and the decoding of those archetypes by Velikovsky and the electric universe community. We know the consensus does not account for these factors. Therefore, I look for evidence of an electrically stressed environment when I look at ancient structures, and there is ample evidence to be found. There is significant evidence of lightning damage, vitrification, and burning found at many megalithic sites. Magnetic signatures in the stone reveal past electrical stress, and the nubs and various odd architectural features appear designed to collect and discharge built-up surface charge away from walkways and openings where people would pass. I have pointed to the mortarless perfection of how the blocks are fit being a requirement for electrical continuity. Also, I've noted that the copper, bronze, and iron pins placed between stones would be useless for structural integrity and must be for ensuring electrical continuity across gaps and seams. Maintaining continuity prevents step voltages that might spark, causing structural damage, a fire, or even killing someone. Solid contact between blocks would be a specification required by structures designed to withstand electrification. The megaliths were built not only to withstand plasma storms of intense lightning and the attendant winds, floods, and telluric currents, but to also absorb and utilize the power from them. Energy ebbs and flows through our planet. It's an electric circuit that inducts, stores, and releases energy as it spirals through waves of plasma from the sun and stars. Ancient megaliths made use of this energy flow as it transferred from Earth back to the sky. The ancients reigned in the power of Zeus Almighty and his thunder gods to geoengineer at scale their nations. Dowsers can identify telluric power avenues in the land by feel. I know they're right because they match my own findings in geology, where I see that current flow left its pattern. Dowsers will point out that megaliths, almost without exception, are built on these telluric avenues. Rory Duff is a researcher of note in this field. His work demonstrates that the megalithic sites are built on grids that coincide with ley lines. In my own research, I've shown that ley lines correlate with landscape features on the continents. The features in the ley line patterns are due to spherical capacitance at the planet's crust. And this spherical capacitance power grid is what ancient megaliths are positioned on. 18 of the most notable megalithic complexes, including the Giza Plateau, Petra, Mohenjo-Daro, Machu Picchu, Easter Island, and Angkor Wat, fall in a great circle around the globe. Not only do they fall on this great circle, they are positioned at the highest telluric energy centers, where the greatest rivers on Earth meet the sea: the Nile, Niger, Tigris, Euphrates, Indus, Ganges, Mekong, and Amazon. The cradles of civilization. These great river valleys were originally formed by discharges from Earth's interior in a primordial stage of Earth's development. Why is this so? Why would electric current well from the Earth at these points along a great circle? Possibly because this circle corresponds to a specific orbit around our planet called a 2-day orbit. A 2-day orbit is similar to a Lagrange point orbit, only instead of being geostationary, the orbit returns a satellite in this orbit to the same position every second day, along an unvarying great circle. The great circle of the megaliths and the great river valleys is the same great circle as the 2-day orbit. Roger G. Gilbertson is an independent researcher who discovered this, as he describes in the following TEDx talk: the unusual Earth orbit circling above our ancient past. He makes a compelling presentation of facts that few people are aware of. One might, as he does, contemplate satellites or alien motherships orbiting Earth in communication with the ancients along this 2-day orbital path. But this is counting unicorns instead of looking for facts. The fact is, this path was once the orbit of the moon. At that time, someone who lived on this circle at, say, Easter Island, experienced a moon every 2 days and no moon at all in the days between. In this orbit, Earth never eclipsed the moon, leaving it always in bright sunlight. It's well established that the moon is getting further from Earth, which implies it was once much closer. This 2-day orbit was, I contend, its ancient orbit, and that is why the Earth blew out sparks along this path, creating the great river valleys. And that is apparently why the ancients sought out this path for living quarters sometime after the event, after discharges between Earth and Moon had reduced the potential between them. It provided fertile valleys and a still simmering power source. It's the reason I believe the Moon is tidally locked, always presenting its scarified face to Earth, while its backside is mounded with regolith. Earth pulled this side of the lunar face off by plasma discharge and tide-locked the Moon while in close orbit. The lunar craters are remnants of the event, as are Earth's prime river valleys. It is, I believe, why lunar regolith and crust are chemically reduced while Earth's crust is oxidized. That is what happens between an anode and a cathode. The Moon's craters are cathode spots. It is also, I believe, why ancient texts and lore refer to specific gods associated with specific cities and mountains. These were the anodes. They likely believed recurring storms every 2 days along this path were local gods sustaining magical power in these locations, energized by the lunar orbit. Perhaps this continuous orbital path of the Moon was close enough to feel its gravity reduce weight and make big stones easier to move. A continuous path of colossal tidal pull, seismic unrest, hurricane, and lightning, generated by a vortex of energy leaving the Earth in a plasma umbilical cord attached to a tidally locked moon, would present an extreme electromagnetic environment where even the nature of nature would seem foreign. Perhaps the stone itself changed character, impressed with a current that caused low melt temperature components to change phase and soften the stone. The electric universe community knows the connection between plasma and archetypes from ancient past, and we know the connection between plasma weather and geology. Rory Duff and the like-minded people who know the connections between megalithic sites and Earth's energy flux, and have noted the electromagnetic signatures of past plasma events in the stones. Jeffrey Drum presents hard evidence the actual purpose of the megalithic stonework as energy collectors, conductors, capacitors, and aqueous chemical processing facilities. Put together, it's a lot of information. Layered together, this information may provide holistic answers for why megaliths were built the way they were. Knowing they fit an obvious societal need subject to specific environmental conditions provides context for a re-examination that will provide clues to the environment on Earth at the time. Industry centered in fertile valleys around farming and mining resources really needs no further explanation, but the conditions that required megalithic specifications does. There also remains a big knowledge gap as to when this happened, and who did it, and what was the state of the solar system at the time. These are the fertile valleys, the cradles of civilization, of agriculture, of community. Ancient people built with stone and utilized Earth's energy beneath a moon that appeared every other day, bringing with it plasma storms, earthquakes, and swelling seas. They used nature's raw material, granites, basalts, sandstones, and limestones, as electrical conduits, insulators, batteries, and heating elements. They used the rock at dual purpose for structure, containment, and catalyst. They used the sun, moon, and stars to precisely geolocate facilities where Earth's power flow could be accessed. It implies wisdom about how the planet works and a symbiotic relationship with it. It's something we need to rediscover if we truly want to understand this planet and how to live here sustainably. So the evidence is out. The narrative we've been fed by academia continues to crumble. Truth will out the disinformation. As shocking truth after shocking truth floods our consciousness, make The Land of Kim one of your reads.